Have you ever wondered what would happen if Tanjiro met Yoriichi in episode 1? How would that even be possible? Who else will be responsible for all the preceding events? And would he be still as strong as ever? To be honest, putting Yoriichi in the Taisho era will just be overkill. With all the prodigies of the current time, Yoriichi will surely give the demons a run for their money. Not to mention the trauma he will be inflicting on our beloved Michael Jackson will be tremendous. Muzan might as well just hide for another 100 years, so he doesn't have to confront Yoriichi. Now, will he actually do it? Well, to start off, we need someone to set the timeline in motion, because if a strong individual like Yoriichi doesn't shape the past, the current era would already be under the suppression of demons. So let's just say Yoriichi's ancestor did all the important work in the background. He was a copy of Yoriichi, but only a tiny bit weaker. Due to the ancestor's efforts, breathing styles still exists. Sumiyoshi was saved from the demons, and lastly, Michikatsu is also still a demon. Now, what will Yoriichi's life be like in this timeline? He will be born under one of his family's descendants as a twin, and he will still have a Demon Slayer mark, but the discrimination won't exist this time. Instead, he will be leading a very happy life with a peaceful family. This is because as the Sugikuni family descended, the people started to mellow out. In the Taisho era, appearances were the least of their concerns. They didn't think of anyone born as a twin or with the Demon Slayer mark as a bad omen. But if he keeps living a peaceful life, he won't have a reason to become a Demon Slayer. Hence, as the writer of this plot, I'm sorry, Yoriichi, but you have to suffer an unthinkable tragedy to move the plot. A demon will strike their home at night, kill off all of his family, and leave him alone to get revenge. This will be the origin story that causes Yoriichi to pick up his sword. So what's his story ahead? Moving forward, Yoriichi will embark on a journey to defeat demons for revenge. Thanks to his Demon Slayer mark and the ability Transparent World, he will still be a prodigy swordsman. He will unlock the sun-breathing technique without any help from anyone. As events proceed, the Demon Slayer Corps will take notice of him, and he will start living his life as Demon Slayer, and soon will rise to the position of Hashira, all due to his own prowess. During all of this time, Yoriichi won't have an encounter with Muzan like in chapter 186 or any of the Upper Moon demons. Instead, he will only meet the Lower Moons, who won't be a threat to him at all. This is how, by the time Yoriichi meets Tanjiro, he would have gained enough recognition to become a Hashira already. Now, how will his interaction with Tanjiro proceed? After recognizing the scent of blood, Yoriichi makes haste towards the house to help. On his way there, he will come across Tanjiro and Nezuko struggling and holding each other down. In a fraction of time, he will decide to cut off Nezuko's head to save Tanjiro, but Tanjiro will notice the strike coming and save Nezuko from the unprecedented fate. He will explain the scenario to Yoriichi and beg him to not take away the last fragment of his family. Being the warm-hearted guy Yoriichi is, he will willingly decide to help them out. Yoriichi will take Tanjiro and Nezuko back to his hometown. He probably lives alone in this timeline, considering that he doesn't have any connections with anyone. The only other people he was close with were Uta and Sumiyoshi, but they also don't exist in this timeline. Now, there are two reasons why Yoriichi took Tanjiro back with him. The first one is, of course, because that's the kind of guy Yoriichi is. He couldn't leave Tanjiro to wander outside with Nezuko on his own. But can you guess the second reason? You see, throughout the time he spent as a Demon Slayer, many Slayers must have approached him in hopes of being able to learn the sun-breathing technique. But throughout generations, there hasn't been anyone able to utilize it just like in the original timeline. This is why, when he took Tanjiro in, the thing that caught his eye was the similarity in personality traits. This gave him a hint that maybe Tanjiro might have been able to learn the sun-breathing technique from him. So now Tanjiro will train under the guidance of Yoriichi instead of Urokodaki. But will he be able to learn the sun-breathing technique? Well, yes, he will. Due to the Hinokami Kagura that has been passed down throughout the different generations of the Kamado clan, Tanjiro will be able to swiftly utilize the sun-breathing technique. Yoriichi will be surprised to notice that such a practice existed in his own clan. Due to his descendants' efforts, he now has someone who can deploy similar techniques as himself and possibly grow strong like him. Hence, instead of water breathing, Tanjiro will be straight up starting from the sun breathing. But sadly, this also means that Sabito and Makimo won't be a thing, as they will have no appearance in this timeline. So what next? After learning the sun-breathing technique, Tanjiro will take part in the final selection exam to join the Corps. Unlike in the original timeline, he won't be wearing a fox mask, so the hand demon won't target him. But even if he does get targeted, it won't be an issue at all, because starting off with the sun-breathing technique, it gave Tanjiro a huge boost in power levels from the get-go. He will be wiping out demons like never before. After sharing all of his knowledge with Tanjiro, Yoriichi will finally send them off. During the time Tanjiro and Nezuko spent with Yoriichi, they would have become a significant part of his life, much closer than anyone he had been with in years. But for the sake of their success, he will be seeing them off with good wishes. The rest of the story will proceed in a similar manner as in the original timeline, with Tanjiro just starting off a little stronger than before. The squad will remain the same and Yoriichi won't have much to do till of course the final arc of the story. The final Infinity Arc will be a free, fell swoop for the Demon Slayer's core, with all of the Hashiras alive, as well as the Tanjiro squad, now with even greater power-ups, will have to face the demons, who have already lost most of their will to fight. There is a high chance the Infinity Castle arc won't even take place, but the final battle versus Muzan still has to. And this is where Yoriichi will perform much of his role. Together with Tanjiro, Yoriichi will be able to take down Muzan, even if he wasn't poisoned by the anti-Kibutsuji drug. This just shows how unfair it will be to have him alive at this point in time. But what if Yoriichi was reincarnated in the Taisho era after spending all of his original life? You bet he'd go nuts on the demons. He will be born under one of his distant relatives with all of his memories from his original life. And just like any other reincarnation story, he will exploit all the information and connections to rise in the ranks. Now the main issue over here is, will Yoriichi still have access to Demon Slayer Mark and Transparent World? Seeing as this was only possible because he was born with one beforehand, will he be able to obtain it in this timeline as well? For starters, he will still be overpowered despite not having a Demon Slayer Mark, but it is without doubt that he will be able to unlock it sooner or later. Not to mention his main mission remains the same, annihilation of Muzan and solving matters with his brother. So in what direction will the story go in? By the time of Kamado's family incident, Yoriichi will already be old enough to actively search for demons. He will leave his household at a very young age and travel alone to find any traces of Muzan or other demons. Around the time he is of Tanjiro's age, he will think of visiting the place where Sumiyoshi lived just to check on his ancestors. This is when he comes across the scene Muzan left on the Kumotori mountain. He will rush to the commotion nearby only to witness Giyu facing Tanjiro in a scuffle. After looking at Nezuko, he will immediately understand the situation and jump in to save Tanjiro and Nezuko. Yoriichi will notice Tanjiro with his earrings, and he will be happy to know that Sumiyoshi passed down his knowledge all the way down. He will convince Giyu with regards to Tanjiro in hopes that he will let them go. Giyu, who's already confused by the situation, will just let them slide and give them the same advice he did in the original timeline. This is where Yoriichi will also find out that the Demon Slayer core still exists and how he could get into it again. After saving Tanjiro and getting to know about the situation of Sumiyoshi's descendants, Yoriichi will leave the scene again. This event will strengthen Yoriichi's resolve and remind him why he started this mission in the first place. After these events, the story will proceed the same way. So now, when can we expect to see him again? We will officially get introduced to Yoriichi during the final selection exam, where he will be present as one of the test takers. No doubt he will easily survive the test and possibly take care of all the demons alone. After the test, Tanjiro will approach Yoriichi, thanking him for the help he provided before. As both of them have similar personalities, they will bond with each other really quickly. It is also possible that they might get to go on missions together. As time passes, the Tanjiro squad will be formed with the addition of one new member, Yoriichi. The first alteration in the preceding story will be during the Asakusa arc, when Yoriichi gets to meet Tamayo, whom he had saved from Muzan. Yoriichi won't say anything to her, but he will be satisfied that she is currently working with the humans. The relationship between all the characters will remain the same, Yoriichi despite being the same age, as all of them will act like a big brother. He will guide and train them, seeing as all of the Tanjiro squad members would have shown good potential to him. Now you'll be asking, isn't Yoriichi a sun-breathing instructor? And without the Demon Slayer mark, how will he be able to teach others? Well, if you don't remember, Yoriichi is also the one who devised all of the other breathing styles from the sun-breathing technique. He will teach sun-breathing to Tanjiro, while with Zenitsu and Inosuke, he will help them master their own styles. He will especially be surprised at Inosuke, as he is the only one who has devised his own breathing style, which doesn't have any close connection to the sun breathing. Now, when will Yoriichi actually get to show off his true powers? He will get the chance during the Infinity Train arc. After subjugating Enmu with half the effort compared to the original timeline, Tanjiro's squad with Rengoku will now indulge in a confrontation with Akaza. This is when Yoriichi will get a chance to display his immense strength. While Rengoku is at death's door, Yoriichi will finally unlock his Demon Slayer mark, instantly giving him access to Transparent World. By gaining his main strength back, Yoriichi will jump in with his sun-breathing technique and hastily take care of Akaza, saving Rengoku just in time. Akaza won't even get a chance to run away, as Yoriichi will slice him into pieces and turn him into dust before that. After such a major incident, there's no denying that Muzan must have overlooked this. He will be in shivers, overwhelmed by his PTSD, after recognizing the same techniques as that of his nemesis. So much so that he will instantly call the Upper Moons for a meeting just to discuss it with them. Michikatsu, after hearing this, thinks that there is a chance that this guy is the reincarnation of Yoriichi, hence he will set out to take care of him. From here on, the events will proceed considerably quicker. Muzan will tell the other Upper Moons to stay low, as they can't take care of Yoriichi no matter how many humans they consume. Therefore, the rest of the arcs just won't take place, and the Demon Slayers won't get to fight any Upper Moon. Until Michikatsu is finally able to find Yoriichi. After meeting Yoriichi, Michikatsu will ask him about why he still kept his flute with him. Yoriichi will explain how much he has cherished their bond. He didn't want him to turn out this way. After a long chat, Michikatsu will start contemplating his choices, but to his disappointment, Muzan will also be listening to this conversation. He will use his demon control to get them to fight again. Both of them will then engage in a critical fight. Who do you think will come out on top? Yoriichi now in his prime with experience from his past life, or Michikatsu with decades of experience? Well, if you were having second doubts here, then you are so out of line, because Yoriichi will demolish Michikatsu any day. Even after getting decades of experience, you can't hold a candle to his brother. After watching the fight unfold, Muzan, coping with his PTSD, will just go into hiding. He will bid his days till he either gets a chance to take care of Yoriichi, or Yoriichi passes away to old age. Do you think Yoriichi and the Corps will allow this to happen? The Demon Slayer Corps will be more active than ever, and this conflict will now turn into a mere hide-and-seek situation. Tanjiro and the rest of the characters won't get to shine in this timeline, as the story will significantly revolve around Yoriichi.